Hello, I'm Police Commissioner William Dwyer. Welcome to another season of Police Journal. This program will give you an inside look at the Warren Police Department and highlight other issues that impact our community. I always welcome your comments and suggestions. Please feel free to email me at wdwyer@warrenpd.org. Thank you and enjoy the show. Welcome again to Police Journal. Today I have two special guests. My first guest is Captain Tony Wickersham from the Macomb County Sheriff's Department, Chief of Staff for Sheriff Hackle. Captain, welcome to Police Journal.
Thank you for having me.
My other guest is Captain Mike McCabe from the Oakland County Sheriff's Department, Undersheriff. You've been a very busy man the last few months, I understand.
Yep, thanks for having me, Bill. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, let's get right into it. Let's first of all, for our viewing audience, talk about the basic responsibilities of the Sheriff's Department. Tony, why don't you start?
Sure. Well, our basic responsibility and what is a large part of our budget is our jail operation, and that's the care and custody of the inmates that are remanded to the county jail. Our responsibility also goes as far as to taking those inmates to the various district courts throughout the county, to the circuit courts, and providing security in that circuit court area. We also have a road patrol aspect of our organization. We're contracted police agencies for 5 communities, and we also patrol Lake St. Clair with our Marine Division.
Okay. Under Sheriff McCabe?
Yeah, pretty much the same in Oakland County. We work very closely with Tony and Sheriff Hackle on many adventures, but we run a very large correctional facility of about 1,600 inmates in the system. 2 basically large jails in Pontiac, where we service all the local police departments in terms of transporting inmates to the various courts, to the police departments for court appearances. We provide court security in the circuit court and court security in a lot of the district courts also. That's about half of our operation. Our budget's about $120 million a year. We also provide contract police services to 14 communities in Oakland County, servicing about 280,000 people, where we are the local police department for those 14 communities. Okay. We also provide dispatch services on a contractual basis, where we dispatch under contract for 12 fire departments and 6 other police departments in the county.
Let me ask you about the jail overcrowding situation, Mike. I know it's been a problem in Oakland County for a number of years, and I also want to know what your thoughts are about the closing of at least 10 prisons by Governor Granholm. So let's talk first about where you're at in Oakland County with the jail overcrowding and what caused that overcrowding.
Well, we actually had the National Institute of Corrections come in and do a study of Oakland County, because for many years, we kept building bed space and jail space, and we were continually still overcrowded, and got into a point where actually at one time we were housing close to 200 inmates in other county jails. We were renting bed space from other counties, and we're spending $2 million a year to do that in order to avoid jail overcrowding. Well, finally got to the point several years ago where even though we had those inmates out in other county jails, we still had to declare a jail overcrowding emergency, and ultimately inmates had to be released. So we got the National Institute of Corrections in. They came in, independent entity that had no allegiance to anyone, and they told us we had plenty of bed space. The problem was that, and no criticism of the judges, but the judges weren't properly using the bed space. They were putting people in jail that maybe for minors in possession of alcohol, or somebody in a local ordinance violation that hadn't cut their lawn and got a ticket, and the judge wanted to send them a message and send them to jail. So that was a big part of it. We were successful in getting the law changed in Lansing in terms of, so there weren't these big releases, emergency releases, sure. And now there are much smaller, more controlled releases, but what happens is it doesn't happen until people serve the vast majority of their sentence. So we're in pretty good shape, even though we've actually reduced the number of beds because of budget cuts. We have not had to declare a jail overcrowding in over 2 years.
Okay. Tony, how about in Macomb County?
Well, same thing here in Macomb County, and I think what Mike said is we think of as if you build it, they will come. Our jail, every 10 years, we added a different portion to our jail. As the county population increased here, the arrests increased, and the amount of people that were remanded at county jail were increasing. So at our peak, we were at 1,438 inmates was our rated design capacity, and we reached that several times, and we had to do the emergency jail release. because we just couldn't house the people, and we had to get the nonviolent offenders and those that served a certain percentage of their time out. So through budget cuts, we had to close the annex portion of our jail last year, and we lost 200 beds that came offline. So now we're down to 1,238 beds. And working with the judicial system in Macomb County, the circuit court judges and the district court judges, we have a bed allocation. So each judge is allowed at so many beds at the county jail. And that has been working real well. We haven't gone into the overcrowding aspect of it now, but we're monitoring on a daily basis, and we're keeping our population right at that maximum, and hopefully we don't have to release anybody.
I wanted to ask again about the closing of the prisons, how it's affected the jails.
Right, the prisons, what is happening is that those state prisoners are being released and put back into the community, and we're seeing the repeat offenders, and that's increasing the road patrol aspect as far as the crimes being committed and the arrests being made, and now they're being arrested on local charges and they're remanded back to the county jail, so it's increasing our population.
Mike?
Same thing in Oakland County. In fact, it was at one point our judges were actually sentencing people to our county jail instead of sending them to the state prison system because of the closing of the facilities and the fact that if they gave them a short sentence in the state prison system, they actually do less time than they would do in the county. So what happened then is we would get what was called diverted felons from the state, where we could get reimbursed for those. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed that last year, and so we lost over $2 million in revenue that the taxpayers of Oakland County then lost because the state didn't pay us for the state prisoners that should have gone to the state prisons that we got. There is legislation now that's pending that's going to hopefully rectify that, and they've had the same. They lost their money in Macomb County just like we lost ours. So it's had a huge effect not only on our jail population but also on the crime rate. I mean, you see headlines every day where somebody on parole has gone out.
So
and
what's the answer
crime.
to the prison situation? I mean, there's talk about privatizing part of the prison.
I don't know if that's a
system.
solution. The costs in Michigan are much higher, and to house a prisoner in Michigan.
Is that because of the?
Well, labor costs are a big part of it, and I'm not knocking the unions or anything like that. But the Department of Corrections is got a huge cost, and their biggest cost is the labor portion of it. I don't know that privatization is the solution, but there is unfortunately the governor then closed a prison in Muskegon and has now rented that bed space out to Pennsylvania. And the state's breaking even on that. And the only reason she did that was to keep people employed. I don't know that that's the job of government, is to keep people employed.
Right. Tony, what would you say to the residents of Macomb County as far as what's happening with the jail system today and the prison system? I mean, they're safe.
They're safe. I mean, we want to keep our community safe, whether it's the city of Warren or our contracted areas. I mean, we're adamant about keeping our road patrol and our specialty units out there because of the level of crime that's increasing and the calls for service that are occurring. But once we take them off the streets, we got to have somewhere to put them.
Right.
And that is one of the key things that we're working on is with the revenue and with our budgets being cut, we have to look at other options of how we're going to do business and how we're going to provide a service to the community.
Right. Mike, getting back to, you alluded to it at the beginning of the program, services that you provide to other communities. In Oakland County, there's a number of communities that contract with the Oakland County Sheriff's Department to provide public safety services. We have something like 18 or 19 different communities
14
that have actually come to you and asked for the services.
Yes, 14 communities that contract us as their local police department. Then, of course, we have a huge amount of support services that all the police departments in Oakland County enjoy that the Sheriff, Mike Bouchard, has fought to keep funding on. One thing that we have taken the attitude is that we have not cut services to the local police departments. The support services, like we have a forensic lab. We're the only other forensic lab in the state of Michigan besides the Michigan State Police. Our fugitive apprehension team, our auto theft team, our narcotics enforcement team. All those things are provided to the local police departments, our aviation unit, canine. We have 14 dogs that service the entire county. So Mike Bouchard said, I'm not going to do to my locals what the state of Michigan has done to us. So we've cut none of those support services. We have cut other services. We've not cut the services that are provided to the local police chiefs and the local police departments. So that is a top priority for us.